And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition here of the Men of Steel podcast. Of course, yours truly, Charles Prodigy Richie. As we got to get in right now, still no deal struck for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens as they placed a non-exclusive tag on him this past Tuesday, I believe it was, and which the Baltimore Ravens they're permitting uh, other teams to try and negotiate a deal with Lamar Jackson. And the Ravens will have an opportunity to try and match. If not, they could decline and they could receive two first round picks. And we're going to get some other quarterback carousel signings as well. And of course, what's going on too is the NFL announced its compensatory picks that was awarded to 16 teams today, and and right now it's only been one in the division so far, and that's by the Cleveland Browns, which they only received one. The 49ers lead the pack with seven. And we'll get into some other Steelers potential needs in free agency and much more. Once again, you guys can follow me on Twitter at ManSteelCGR and on Instagram at ManSteelNation. So once again, the Ravens, they applied the $32.4 million non-exclusive franchise tag of Lamar Jackson on Tuesday, which kind of comes as a bit of a surprise. I mean, some people were also thinking too, even like Josina Harrison, who was talking last week. Maybe probably would made a little bit more sense to do the exclusive tag, which would have been approximately about $13 million more. But the only thinking in that though, too, don't forget because remember what happened in the Russell Wilson trade right now, too. He went to the Denver Broncos. Remember, a year ago, the Broncos, when they acquired Wilson, they surrendered two first round picks, the ninth overall pick in last year's draft and the fifth in this year's draft, two second round picks, which is the 40th overall in last year's draft, and the 38th overall in this year's draft, and plus a 2022 fifth round pick, which was 145th from last year's draft. And right now, I mean, that is huge right now, too. And the thing that is really interesting right now in all this, too, not many teams are biting looking at a guy like Lamar Jackson. I mean, many people were speculating too. Would he go back to like his home state of Florida right there too? And the Miami Dolphins, who have not been quarterback relevant since, of course, Dan Marino. And to be honest with you, it's very disappointing. This list also includes the Falcons, Panthers, Commanders, and the Raiders. Once again, the Dolphins, Falcons, Panthers, Commanders, and Raiders have basically stated they will not be interested in acquiring Lamar Jackson. Because I'll tell you what, the interesting one too, which is out of that list, I mean, which probably declined, which is fascinating too, was Washington. Remember, I mean, if you think about, I mean, the Commanders they play in the state of Maryland in their stadium at FedEx Field, and which is not too far off. And the thing is, too, you got a good coach in Ron Rivera right there. I mean, still needing an offense. I mean, and when you look at everything that's going on right there too, you would figure that would probably been a little bit right there. But then again, you know, Daniel Snyder being eventually potentially being forced out this off season, which is supposed to be discussed in the annual league's meetings. I mean, what way to kind of give a middle finger to the NFL? I mean, on the way out, sign this guy to a fully guaranteed contract. I mean, basically all the stuff that he's been going through. I mean, and just for running a dirty organization, but a way to give the middle finger back to the NFL on his way out if he were to do that. Because, and then you also look at it too, the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, when you had Marcus Mariota down there, I don't really feel like that was a little bit of a good fit right there. I'm not sure. But I mean, it would have been nice though too. I mean, if Lamar Jackson will went to the NFC, because think about it too. I mean, the thing is about the those three teams in the NFC, he would be out of the AFC if they were able to part ways with him. I mean, more particularly the Falcons too. I mean, how much cool of a legacy that will have been to follow up from Michael Vick. I mean, of course, then you had Matt Ryan, but then a few years later, Lamar Jackson. we'll probably have a nice little tradition, I mean, carried in there for a team that has not won a Super Bowl yet, but still has some flashy quarterbacks in the past. I mean, when you look at their overall franchise history, and I mean, that is just really going on. But if you look at it too, here's the interesting things right now. So far, we had three quarterbacks signed right now, the new deal so far. Remember Derek Carr right now, who signed with the Saints on Monday. He signed a 4-year, 150 million deal, which includes 37 average per year with 100 total guaranteed and 50 million guaranteed at signing. And then you also have Daniel Jones with the Giants, who has first winning season too, right there. Had 4-year, 160 million deal, which included 40 years on average with 82 million guaranteed at signing, which also includes up to 35 million of incentives, while also applying the 10.091 million non-exclusive tag on Saquon Barkley. Now the interesting thing is here about like I said, with Daniel Jones right there too. I mean, he has a first winning season as a quarterback at 9-6-1, and plus his very first game in the playoffs, he wins his very first playoff game, and then of course goes on to lose in the second round to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, remember this was a team who did not pick up his 5th-year option, so I mean he pretty much had to bet on himself in a way. I mean, and good for him, Daniel Jones. But I think the biggest thing too, where a lot of people are pretty upset at right now too, is that you got a guy in Lamar Jackson. He's a former league MVP. I mean, he's led his team to the playoffs at least 3 years in a row, with the exception of this year and last year. Excuse me. I mean, well, he was responsible for most of this year, but season-ending injuries, which of course missed 5-6 games each of the last 2 years. But I mean, again, league MVP and a guy who's gonna be tagged. So I mean, more likely, people are gonna be highly anticipating that he probably will not play under the tag. Probably think it would be unwise for him at 32.4. Well, you got a guy in Daniel Jones who's be making an average annual salary of 40 million. Uh Giants GM Joe Shane on the signing with Daniel Jones, who's very satisfied to say the least. He said we had productive conversations with Daniel as representatives over the course of the past week or so. Shane said in a news release announced the deal. We're all pleased that we're able to come to an agreement prior to today's deadline. This gives us a greater ability to continue to build our roster. And he also said, I said after the season, I love this place. Daniel Jones uh, commented in a statement. I've really enjoyed my time here and I want to be here. I respect for this organization, the mayors, the Tishes, my coaches, and teammates. I am happy we're able to come to an agreement right there. Now, of course, you remember too, I mean, Eli Manning, who's probably the more respected guy in this city of New York. But remember, they play in East Rutherford Third in New Jersey. But anyway, for the most part, you got to believe it's still Eli Manning's talent until proven otherwise. And the only interesting thing is too, when you look across the other side of town right now, too, the Packers given permission for the Jets executives, which they've met with Aaron Rodgers. Seems like it might be heading in a positive direction that the Jets, I mean, right now, maybe they'll find some compensation right now, depending what the asking price is, to have them come to New York Jets, Jets, right there too. And Aaron Rodgers right now, remember, who also signed a huge contract last year, and that's the problem too. I mean, right there. I mean, a lot of these quarterbacks who are signing these big term deals right now, especially with all the guarantees. Remember, he signed a 3-year, $150.815 million Packer. I mean, with the Packers, including a 40.8 sign bonus and 150.815 guaranteed. So his total contract is fully guaranteed And you gotta look right now too. I mean, Packers right there. I mean, and that's the problem where you look at for a guy like Lamar Jackson too. I mean, the biggest thing that trumps all this is the Cleveland Browns deal too. I mean, when you have them sign, I mean, Deshaun Watson, I mean, basically to a fully guaranteed deal right there, and basically when you look at it, and what they've been able to do, and just it was a desperate signing right there. I mean, 5 year, 230 million guaranteed. The whole contract was guaranteed. I mean, Jim Haslam. I mean, the Browns too. I mean, that's the only thing. You gotta believe owners right now. And Ryan Clark was saying too on ESPN, he does feel like it's a conspiracy going on right now. And I think there's like a lot of push right now. It's not necessarily because of the injury. I mean, I would still like to think that'd be a part of it for the Ravens factor to be a little hesitant on giving that much money, but the league coming together too. Because remember, I mean, the push for guaranteed contracts is a real thing by the players. This continues to be a nip and tuck game. And when you are billionaires, I mean, fighting over like millions and how much you're going to invest in certain players and how much, it's going to take on your cap hit year after year. Not only that, but just the other positions too. I mean, you're going to have to address right there. I mean, the thing is, these contracts, I think, just become a little bit difficult to work out. I don't think it's that they don't want to have fully guaranteed contracts exist at all, but I mean, it's the same thing. It does become a lot more difficult right there. That's why you saw even too. I mean, with the Patrick Mahomes 3 years ago, he had a 10-year uh, deal. I mean, which was valued at 450 million, and where he was getting 45 million annual guaranteed right now, and which is the fifth most in the league. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the highest paid on average with over 50.27 million, followed by Russell Wilson at 48.5, Kyler Murray 46.1, Deshaun Watson at 46. And then of course you got Patrick Mahomes at 45. And eventually you gotta imagine his bargaining power is gonna go up too at some point. So once again, I asked the question to you guys: is Lamar Jackson worth about for contract value right now, at least value wise, more than Deshaun Watson? And I think you gotta like be taking a hard look at that right now in the mirror. And that's all you really gotta think about right there. Because I'll be honest with you, I'd have to probably say no for right now. I think if anything, because well, no, let me take that back. Well, no, I would say total value wise, because remember, I mean, I'm just not sure if I want to like give that much to a guy that's been hurt. But I mean, it's just the problem is like how much you're going to be guaranteed. I mean, value of the contract. No, you know what? Let me take that back. I'd say yeah, I think he's worth a little over 230 million. I'm just not totally sure about 230 million guaranteed to be looking at because they insist they do not want a fully guaranteed deal. But I mean, he does want to at least be paid more than Watson. I mean, Mahomes, he does lead the pack right now with total value at 450 million, while Josh Allen, the Bills, comes in at second, 258, and Russell Wilson, third, 242. So that's say right there too. I mean, but the only thing is he's had one playoff win, but Kyler Murray, zero playoff wins as well. And Deshaun Watson, I think he's only gotten like one so far since being in the league, and that was in 2019 versus Buffalo Bills before they won and blew a significant, I think it was a 24-point lead versus the Chiefs in the divisional round. So we take a look at all that considering right there. So again, do you think Lamar Jackson is worth over 230 million guaranteed? Leave me your thoughts on that. I'm gonna have to just say no right there. But do you also believe there's conspiracy going on right now? I probably have to say there's a little bit of conspiracy going on. Yes, and not just because of Deshaun Watson, but as a continued fight over squashing out the idea of giving fully guaranteed contracts. Once again, this is Charles Prodigy Rich. You can follow me on Twitter at MassSteelCGR and on Instagram at MassSteelNation. Thank you for watching the Mass Steel podcast with your host, Charles Prodigy Richie, here on YouTube. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And for all the latest Mass Steel podcast episodes, feel free to download them on Mixcloud, Anchor.fm, and SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts.